Hello, everyone. Welcome to my room. um, Welcome to Scorpio season. I wanted to do a tarot reading today, and I figured I'd film it. I did the last, what was it? I did the Aries full moon reading over a podcast, but I feel like speaking in real time with the cards just has a more potent energy, and I felt called to do it like this time around. um, and this reading is going to be geared more towards Scorpio season. However, we did have a Libra new moon yesterday, and I think the moon is probably still new, and it's still in Libra. And it's on like the 28th degree of Libra, so it's probably within, if it hasn't already changed, within the next few hours, the moon will be in Scorpio. Um, so it's really a signification of a new chapter, a new phase starting. And Scorpio is spooky season. Scorpio is the best way I can describe it in the span of autumn, in the transitory energy of autumn. Scorpio is like the ocean floor. Um, and so if you think about the ocean floor, it's deep. It's deep down there. And it is a constant where in the ocean, the light is different, the temperatures are different, there's different creatures everywhere, and everything's always moving, but then there's always the ocean floor. But to get to the ocean floor, you have to swim all the way down, and you need endurance, you need stamina, you need perseverance, you need courage. And when I think of Scorpio season, I really think of that intensity of going deep. And this could be going deep into whatever, could be going deep into your secrets, into your shadows, could be going deep into your relationships, deep into your passions, deep into a research hole, and getting into like the really nitty gritty. It's Scorpio season cuts deep. Um, and it is a water sign. So I do think of the deep ocean and really like looking at what's hidden, what hasn't been looked at yet. So we can end the year in that burst of Sagittarius, uh, Sagittarius optimism, Sagittarius light, Sagittarius fire. I'm not biased. I am Sagittarius, but I'm not biased. I am also thinking about Mars because Scorpio is, believe it or not, Martian ruled, and Aries is the other Martian ruled sign, but Aries is very immediate, very much so at the surface. Where when I think of Scorpio Mars, I think of like a comet shooting down into the middle of the earth, or shooting down to the seafloor and shaking everything up. That's what I think of. That directness. So it's like you're diving straight down to the very bottom. You're not getting caught up in what's going on with like the fish up here, or I don't know, looking at the coral. You're going down, deep down to the darkness. You probably have a headlamp on. um, and that's what I think of. And I really want to center this reading towards themes of like how to go deeper, what to go deeper in. Um, I am using my Dali deck again. It's just so beautiful. and we are only going to go for the major arcana, I like to use the full deck in more personal readings because um, the suits get into like minor details, and it's better with a more tailored question. But I've been experimenting with Jodorowsky's method of using the archetypes, and I think when you're diving into shadow work, archetypes are very important and very helpful. I personally am going to use Scorpio season as a container for working with my shadow, and I will definitely be using the tarot to help me. Um, so, yeah, we're going to use this deck today, and I don't use this deck often. I would like to use it more, but it is very sacred to me. So, y'all are lucky. um, and I will also be referencing the guidebook because, number one, how could you not want to use something like this? Number two, it provides insight on the specific artworks used in the cards, which contributes to the meaning and the message. So, questions we're going to ask today. The first question is, how can we dive deep this Scorpio season? How are we going to make the descent into whatever we wish to descend into? Yes, I'm jumping right in. How can we make the descent? The High Priest. We have Mercury on here. Interesting. I'm not familiar with this painting. I'm assuming it's a Spanish painting. We'll look in the book. But when I see this and I think of how can we make the descent, I think about surrender a little bit. And I think about how we have to surrender our ego. Like, you can't make the descent into the depths with your ego's motivations. You have to make the descent into the depths with your highest knowing at the forefront, your highest self at the forefront. And that is the one that pushes the ego to the side and the highest self can channel down, which in itself is a task. It's hard to pull the ego aside and let that highest self come forward. So I think before I even look at the book, I want to say that if you are really interested in making a descent or diving deep this Scorpio season, I would say take the next few days to meditate and write and just sit and wait for that voice to come up. And it's a voice that isn't really anxious, or it doesn't lead with should, but it is a voice that feels very natural, and it doesn't feel like your voice. It feels like an outside voice. And that will be the voice that will direct you towards whatever you want to dive deep into. It often is very, very subtle, which is why I recommend really taking some quiet time so you can let your ego, simmer down and this voice can come up. And through those meditations, through that contemplation, you will get the direction you need to go deep down. I'm going to take a look at the book to see if there's any extra information. I'm also just curious about the painting on here. There's also the Mercury symbol, which is Mercury is the planet of communication. So I think also the voice communicating your needs to you, your highest self communicating your needs to you. So the High Priest. Okay, this painting is St. Anthony, the Abbot and Donors. And it's in Barcelona by Martín Bernat, active in Saragossa. Cool. Okay. All high priests of the most diverse religious traditions have one thing in common: the task of interpreting the mysteries of life and organizing the appropriate rites. It is your task today to recognize this power within yourself. The key is right in front of you. It's right in front of you, but the ego isn't holding the key. It's your highest self holding the key. This is also very interesting because it speaks about the donors, um, and surrounding yourself by people who you can bring into this journey. And it says here, in a broader sense, this card is all about teaching and learning, initiation and understanding. In order to know others, we have to know ourselves and thus become able to appreciate the purpose of our own existence. So when I think about this card in relation to others, it's when we die. I'm thinking about shadow work. I really am thinking about shadow work in this. When we dive deep into our shadows, um, and bring them to the surface, we hope that we are surrounded by people who will see us and accept us just as we are trying to accept our whole selves. So as you start to communicate with your higher self and use that higher self to direct you downward, don't be afraid to bear that self with the people you trust the most, because if they are the people meant for you, they will be accepting of who you are. So, card number 1, how are we making the descent? We're meditating and we're listening to our highest self, because the key is right in front of us. It's not held by the ego. So, what is an energy we want to work with in this excavation of whatever it may be that will help us excavate? The Hermit. Interesting. So, working with the Hermit, El Ermitaño. I love the color of this one. I am also unfamiliar with this painting, but I love this tiny little baby in the lantern here. um, the Hermit is such an awesome card. It's very autumnal, going deep down, and with this priest, it's like going deep down into the higher self. So, using the higher self to lead us toward what we're diving into. This I imagine as the higher self with its guiding light making the descent, and this really is a journey of the self. I know I just mentioned other people, but this really is the journey of like nobody else is going to save you but yourself. So the energy we need to work with in this descent, in this excavation is self-trust, is relying on ourself to do the work. To it's like that resilience, that stamina, that endurance that I was talking about in the beginning of this video. Um, and you're the only one who could give that to yourself. You're the only one who can be worthy enough for yourself, to be trustworthy for yourself to make that descent. So let's take a look at the book. Yeah, I see this a lot. This is self-trust. And like you can ask everyone for advice as the day is long, but in the end, you are the one um, who is going to enact it and take it. And I do think, like, is this an inner child? Is this, are you taking yourself on a journey? Let's see. Let's see what the book has to say. Oh, so the painting is Portrait of Luca Pacioli, Museo Nazionale di Capodimonte, Naples by Jacopo de Barbi, Venetian. And he wrote something called Summa de Aritmetica Geometria Proportioni et Proportionalità. So like arithmetic, geometry, proportion, and proportionality. A summary of the entire mathematical knowledge of the time. Sick. um, so it says here, healing. It is no accident that the lantern in this picture reminds us of the biblical parable of the wise and foolish maidens. This card is about evaluating the sum of your experiences and constantly reorganizing your life accordingly. Every human being brings something original and novel to the world, represented by the embryo in the lantern. Which is, it could be your child self, because your child self is your highest self, and it is the self, your most authentic self, which if you live out that most authentic self, that is your contribution to the world. That is your dharma in this lifetime. Your light gets stronger as you resolve your own contradictions. If you do not assume responsibility for your life, or if you retreat into incompetence or irresponsibility, you will fail to approach the magnificent power of the hermit. This card signals a need for rest and withdrawal, but more often for commitment and effort and for accepting responsibility. So it is our responsibility to make this journey into the depths of whatever you're diving into. And that is the energy we are working with, our personal responsibility to let this embryonic light, so to speak, shine onto the universe. But we have to do the work to like scrub off the dirt that's on the glass to let the light shine. Increase your own wealth, wellness, and well-being as that of your fellow human beings. Again, other people. The journey of the self is a communal experience, I guess. Is an act of community work in some ways. And thinking about autumn, like this is a time where we slow down. And like right now, I feel very, honestly, I feel very disassociated from my body. I think because summer was so fast, especially the end of summer was so fast for me. And now all of a sudden it's cold and the light is waning and my body is like, whoa, I need to slow down. I need to slow down. And so making a descent takes a lot of focus as well. It takes, like I said, endurance, stamina, and those things need focus. They need training. You can't be all over the place and diving to the bottom of the ocean. You only have a limited amount of capacity in the lungs to do so. So, what is the energy we're working with? We're working with the perseverance, the stamina, and the accountability of the hermit as we make a descent. What does the universe, God, source, whoever want us to know on this journey? The Tower. Oh, I love the Tower. This is such a wonderful card. Has a little Aries there, which is interesting. Let's look at them. The Tower. Another really beautiful blue card. All right. What does the universe want us to know as we make this descent? It wants us to know that if we're expecting an outcome, to just let go of that expectation right now. This is a dismantling of something that for the last probably this whole year, honestly, because 2025 is a stripping year. This whole year we've been like cleansing this out of our system. And the Tower is like, if you were getting to the bottom of this, you were getting to the bottom of this. And if you have expectations around how that's going to look, to just let go of that now. You are dismantling something, and it's like you can't ever expect how a big mess is going to look or feel. You just got to be ready for anything to happen. So, La Torre. La Torre. Let's see what the book has to say. The Tower. I flipped right to it. Encounter with the Absolute. The painting is The Martyrdom of Saint Sebastian, Galleria degli Uffizi, Firenze, Italia. Girolamo Genga, born in Urbino, died in Urbino. Cool. I love Saint Sebastian. Saint Sebastian. It's one of my favorite saints. Go ahead and give it your all. You will gain more love and protect yourself better from danger if you learn consciously to deal with your energy. Risk being more direct, make a leap into the unknown, even if the consequences are unfathomable. The two archetypes determine the meaning of this card: the Tower of Babel and Pentecost. The building of the Tower of Babel is a symbol of human megalomania, culminating not only in the destruction of the tower, but also in the Babylonian confusion of tongues. Pentecost is the opposite building of the tower. The Holy Ghost descends on the disciples in the form of a storm and tongues of fire. As they start to talk, everyone hears themselves speaking their own language. Instead of a confusion of tongues, this event symbolizes the tearing down of all languages. The card cautions you to beware of megalomania and lack of steadfastness. There might be rocky times ahead. You are urged to leave your ivory tower and your personal objections and pretenses when the time is ripe. This card also involves jumping out of the clouds and turning the free fall into flying. Turning the free fall into flying, or in the terms of the Scorpionic Ocean that I am referring to in this video, like a wonderful float down instead of impeding descent. Times may be rocky ahead, but embrace the unknown that comes with this journey. You're setting down into unknown waters. You can't have any expectations around this. So, as we make this descent into the unknown, what can we look forward to? El carro, the chariot. This is a sick card. I love this card. What can we look forward to? We can look forward to the authorship of our whole self, our whole being. I've got a really insane surge of energy just right now. Seeing this, we can look forward to embracing the entirety of ourselves. We can look forward to embracing the ugly. And yeah, the journey might be crazy and we're alone on that path, but it's coming from a higher power. It's coming from our highest self. And we will meet. Let me arrange this. We will meet that higher self once we go through whatever this may be. So there's so much blue here, and that is a great indicator for my next question. But before we go on to the next and final card, I want to read the Chariot. Ah, I love that the Chariot came out for that. El Carro. Original work by Salvador Dali. Chart your own course. The Chariot stands for experiencing and developing one's own personality, which has two aspects: deliberate choice on the one hand and the forces of the unconscious on the other. This card symbolizes the way of desire, which is the path towards fulfillment of sensible desires and the ability to let go of unfounded fears. Everything you do on the way is worthwhile, even if it requires a lot of effort or apparent detours. El Torre. Even the greatest achievements mean nothing if they do not help you on your way of desire. As wisely coined in the phrase, the journey is its own reward. Assume full responsibility for the shaping of your life path. You cannot get off the chariot nor relinquish your own karma, but you can strike out in a new direction. The right attitude helps you accept and develop the positive aspects you encounter. Accept the light and the shadows and turn your darkest fears into golden opportunities of self-fulfillment. You guys. Also love the Sagittarius symbol on there. At the end of Scorpio season and Sagittarius season, we will be blessed by Jupiter. uh, I love the tarot so much. That being said, we're going to go to our final card because this is getting a bit long. But like I said, there's a lot of blue here. And when I think of blue, I think of the throat chakra, because that's the color of the throat chakra, which is communication, voice, speaking out, speaking your needs. And when I think of this, I want to ask the question, how can we speak from this experience when it's done? Like at the end of Scorpio season, how can we speak what we've learned into the universe? What are we going to do with this information? How can we communicate what we've learned in order to help others? Of course, we got beautiful blue woman, the Empress, la Emperatriz. Amazing, and it kind of looks like she's in the ocean. Like, it looks like she's dominating the bottom of the seafloor. Also, I've been thinking about Joseph Mallet, JMW Turner, and this like light on the sky is very JMW Turner. Anyway, so how can we communicate this message at the end of this? We're going to do it with grace and with beauty. We are, as it said in the Chariot, we are transmuting our experience into light. We are going to speak to this darkness with beauty and with reverence and acceptance of the whole self. Like, again, we are taking authorship of this experience, and we are going to speak to it with beauty, with reverence. We're going to speak to it as a queen would. We are going to, and look, she's strong as fuck. Like, we are going to be like, yeah, I dove to the bottom of the ocean, and I could tell you how fucking dark and scary it was, but I could also tell you I saw this color purple that I have never seen in my entire life, and I would have never have seen if I didn't make this descent. And this color purple has changed my life and has shown me truth. And in doing this, your journey, your descent, and speaking to it and turning it into a beautiful experience will inspire others to make this descent. So who is this lady? Saint Helena at Port Yigat. It's at the Salvador Dali Museum in St. Petersburg, Florida. Really cool museum if you haven't been. This is by Dali himself, inspired by Greece on the ruins of Missolonghi. Your own true nature. The Empress represents the many empresses and queens of yesteryear and today. She's also the great goddess of ancient history, the threefold godhead of Christianity and other religions, the mothers of gods such as Isis and Mary, and last but not least, the goddesses of love and fertility, like Astarte, Aphrodite, and Venus. The card is a mirror of your own femininity, with the female qualities of man, reflecting your personal experiences as a woman and or with other women, the heritage of your mother, your grandmother, and your foremothers. Interesting. So in this descent, it could also be interesting to explore maternal wounding, which deep waters. In order to be happy and feel good, it is important to create your own realm and establish and follow rules that underpin your well-being and pleasure. Take charge of your daily well-being. Ban false goddesses and foreign empresses in your life. So yeah, taking charge of your own life. But I really see this as like a speaking to beauty, speaking to your own beauty, or the beauty of your own experience, rather, and being the queen of it, even if you are male identifying, being the queen of your own experience. Who doesn't want to be a queen? So, Scorpio season. We are diving deep into the underworlds with a blue ribbon around our neck. Wow, beautiful. I kind of want to pull one more card. Five. I've pulled 5 cards and it feels good, but I think I'm just gonna pull one more card just to top us off. The Magician. You are the creator of your own life. There's Dali himself. I'm not even going to read the description for this. Your life is your artwork. And the magician alchemizes. And diving deep, doing shadow work a is an act of alchemy. You're alchemizing something that you don't want to look at into something beautiful, into something that you can communicate through beauty. And the magician is an artist, and you are the artist of your own life. So, thank you so much for sitting through this reading if you made it this far. I feel really good about this. I am really curious as to how Scorpio season is going to go. This reading is free for everyone here. However, I usually paywall my tarot posts. So if you want to continue following my journey as a tarot reader and someone who uses the tarot, as well as astrology, to tune into the greater energies that exist in this realm, please become a paid subscriber. 1 month of my 1 month of this subscription is less than I would charge for any tarot reading, so you're kind of getting a little bit of a deal there. Comment below if this has helped you in any way. And yeah, I will talk to you all soon. I am really feeling called to use the tarot for shadow work, so I think I'm going to continue to write about that and discuss it on here. If that's of any interest to you, welcome. And if you want to book a reading with me personally, you could send me an email or contact me somehow. And yeah.